Hey, ladies. Hi. You get to see me on screen tonight. Hello, hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well this evening. Hope that you are enjoying your holiday season. Um, have something special planned for us today, but as you're coming in, don't forget to like the video, give us a thumbs up. I know that so many of you were hit with the storms, and a lot of you are stuck because there are, what I heard, 12,000 plane rides being canceled, and all of that, airplane cancellations, and all of that. So definitely want to make sure that everybody is staying safe during this holiday season. Again, don't forget to thumbs up the video as you are coming in. Today's conversation should be pretty interesting. It's all about financial self sabotage. I'm going to review an article that I found that I think is pretty interesting, um, of a Black woman who actually talks about the fact that her religion, when she became wealthy, her religion and her teachings with regards to religion caused her to feel a little bit of guilt. And I thought this was an interesting article because so many of us come from a religious background. And then we're going to review a Tony Robbins recording. Full disclosure, I like the old Tony Robbins. I can't deal with the new Tony Robbins. He's a little much for me. But the old Tony Robbins was pretty cool. And this is an old recording. We're not going to hear the whole thing. I'm going to kind of give you a few bits of what I think is important. I think it's important to talk about financial self sabotage because I've dealt with it. Some of you may have dealt with it as well. You deal with this whole thing of, and I always give like weight, right? You know, you're doing well with getting the weight off, and then all of a sudden you eat cookies and you eat cakes and you eat potato chips, and then your sister has a barbecue, and next thing you know, your whole diet is blown, right? A lot of us end up self sabotaging when it comes to weight, when it comes to relationships, and when it comes to finances. And I thought that this was a great discussion for us to have at the end of the year. So hey, QB, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you, everybody. Again, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, share the live stream as we're talking today. So, what I'm going to do, first of all, is start off with an article that I found here from Business Insider. This beautiful Black woman here is saying, I never realized how much my religion denounced building wealth until I tripled my income and was racked with guilt. And some of us are like, I don't care what my religion says, I never be racked with guilt. But the truth is, if you grew up in the church, like deep in the church, and you've heard, the love, what people will say, money is the root of all evil, which is not what the Bible verse says. The Bible verse actually says the love of money is the root of all evil. Or people will say, God wants you to make money and then give it away to the poor and things like that. There are churches out there now that, I will say it, are predatory, where they want to see your W-2s and your pay stubs to make sure that you are truly tithing your 10%. They want you to tithe your 10% of your gross wages, and not like after taxes, which a lot of us have taxes, very high taxes that we're paying. So, a lot of us just grew up in a church. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is a great article. I have a lot of articles on the side that I'm kind of holding on to for us to talk about. But I wanted to review this a little bit with us because this deals a little bit with sabotage when it comes to our financials. So it's saying here, being raised in the Catholic faith taught me that money was something shameful and unwelcome. When I started earning more, I was racked with guilt and reluctance to build wealth. Learning about money from experts and examining the messages I grew up with helped me move past my guilt. So this is a young lady here who is saying this. So let's read a little bit more. Can someone be programmed to be poor? Absolutely. If you don't think that we can be programmed to be poor, all I can do is say, as a Black woman, step outside, look at all of the advertising that we get. We are encouraged to be what do you call it? Louis Vuitton and Gucci and all of this stuff. And we are discouraged from owning homes because we're told you can never own a home, you won't save enough money, your credit's always bad. If your credit is good, then they're going to cheat you by giving you a bad appraisal and all of this stuff. Yes, people can be programmed to be poor, and a lot of us are programmed to be poor in this country. She's also saying here from a young age, I saw my I saw money as an evil associated with unbelievers. Here are 5 ways my religion stood in the way of me gaining wealth. And I want you to swap this out, everybody. As you all are coming in, again, like the video, share the stream here. I want you to swap this out because some of you it's religion, some of you it's your parents, some of you it's a boyfriend or a best friend, or other people around us where we feel like we have to remain at their level. I'm encouraging you in 2023 to break through that. Hey, computer and coin. All right, here. But she's saying here from a young age, I saw money as an evil associated with unbelievers. Here are 5 ways my religion stood in the way of me gaining wealth. Number one, I felt guilty about earning money. Over time, I knew that I had to earn more to improve my standard of living. I couldn't with the constant guilt, and I was no longer comfortable with a substandard life. Something had to change, and I had to be that change. I was already sick and tired of letting my Catholic upbringing affect my life. I needed a complete reorientation. So, out of necessity, I took up a career in freelance writing. I didn't expect the magnitude of guilt that overwhelmed me when I started to earn 3 times more than I had. And then she talks here about some Bible verses. I want to take this out again and not just talk about religion here, because a lot of us grew up in the church, but how many of us start making money and that friend starts pulling us down? You think you too good. You think you got it. Why aren't you paying for all of us to go to dinner? All of the crap that comes. This is all a part of financial self-sabotage. Sometimes it's us. Sometimes we start making 3 times the income, and what do? We start spending, spending, spending. That happens a lot in the Black community. We spend on clothes. We spend on shoes. We spend on the latest upgrade. I'm not talking about spending on assets, ladies. Y'all know how I feel about my assets. You buy yourself a home, buy yourself a couple of rentals, buy yourself some, life insurance that's going to pay out, annuities, stuff like that. That's the stuff we should be spending money on, right? But not spending, investing. Um, but some of us will feel guilt, enormous guilt as we start leveling up our income. Hey, Mocha Mommy, y'all, Mocha Mommy is coming on Friday to do the year in review with me. So excited. Yeah, Mocha Mommy's talking about boundaries. Everybody, don't forget to like the stream as you're coming in. But if you've ever gotten a major bump in income or your business starts doing well, and I've even suffered with this, things start to happen within you. Whatever money, whatever money profile you have now is going to continue when you start making more money. And it's important for us to actually understand this and try to nip a lot of it in the bud as you're going, as you're leveling up. So, number 2, she says, I was excessively charitable. How many of us know this? Now, she's talking about the church, but we have to give money to, I should say mom and grandma, obviously within reason. You're giving money to your family potentially. You got to give money to the church. You got to give money to, this person over here and that person over there. Yeah, we want to be charitable, but we also want to be smart about our charity. She's saying here, I would be miserable if I didn't help a needy person. And of course, there would always be someone who needed the money more than I did. Even if it left me penniless, I did not care. This is real. When I read this article, I was like, oh, I got to share it with the ladies because this is so real. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Ericka. Number three, I undervalued my worth. When I started my journey as an entrepreneur, I was making costly mistakes. It took me months to figure out what I was doing wrong and even more time to change my ways. I consistently put up with bad clients, low paying gigs, and late payments. With an upbringing like mine, I was uncomfortable talking about money. So, some of you, again, are laughing at this saying, that's not me. I don't have those problems, etc. But guess what? A lot of us do. A lot of us, including myself, get uncomfortable talking about money, especially, with negotiation. Um, I am good with not accepting bad clients, but you know what? The reason I don't have to accept bad clients is because I have a pipeline full of clients. Actually, y'all know I'm getting out of business plan writing and moving on to my next venture. But my whole thing is I'm not accepting bad clients no matter where I am. I'm focused on my pipeline and having so many good clients that I don't need the bad clients. Late payments is another thing. You get enough late payments, you're like, oh, hell no, right? And you put up boundaries. Again, what Mocha Mommy was talking about, this is a boundary situation as well. But if you do not think that you are worth it, if you believe that money is the root of all evil, instead of the love of money, if you believe that I have to be broke in order to be valuable to the world, then you're going to practice this kind of self sabotage. So, let's see what else she says here. I was uninterested in being financially literate. She says here, one minute I had enough money, the next minute it was all gone because I was spending more than I could account for. As a result, living paycheck to paycheck became a thing. Some of us are like this with financial self sabotage. We know instinctively we should not be living paycheck to paycheck. But yet, we still are doing things in our lives that cause us to always go back to that level set of paycheck to paycheck. It's a form of financial self sabotage. So, how do we actually break out of these things? When we move to the Tony Robbins thing, he's going to give us some exercises to think about. And number five, I couldn't set strong financial goals. She says here, getting past these challenges was a painful process for me, but I can say that I'm in a happier place than I was then. It feels great to take over the reins and be in charge of my life. And this was written by Rachel Eade, who is a freelance writer now. This was a great article. She was saying she couldn't set strong financial goals here, right? Her mindset about money and status was pretty messed up. She couldn't set those strong financial goals. Her religion, as she was increasing her income, she increased her income 3x. And all of those things that we learned as children in our childhoods kind of, they come back to us. And the first thing to do is many of you are 25, 30, 35, 40 years old. I'm amazed and appreciative by how many young ladies actually follow this channel. I do not take that for granted. And, the biggest thing is that if you are having a hard time right now with your money, asking, is it just that you're not making enough money, or are you having some issues with some of this financial self sabotage? Because it's very real. Just like your weight, sometimes you'll sabotage your weight, sometimes you'll sabotage your relationship, sometimes, and that may not be a romantic relationship, could be a friend, could be a girlfriend, you'll self sabotage your ability to get the promotion or things like that. It's important for us to kind of, when people say getting therapy for things, like letting go of a lot of the horrific messages that we learned as children. How about those pocket watchers, family and friends? Yeah, look, with pocket watchers, I live with one, right? So I can talk about this. There is a way to navigate the pocket watchers who are like It's my mother, right? So part of the reason she pocket watches is because she's nosy. And you can tell her I said it. And then the other part is because she, is like trying to make sure that the house is going to be okay. And I'm like, look, I've never not paid the bills, right? But yeah, but some of these friends, some of these people who don't live with you, don't have a reason to be pocket watching, they certainly will. And they will sabotage you if they feel like you are getting ahead of them with regards to your financial level up. That is absolutely true. The reason that they will sabotage you oftentimes is for fear. They are afraid that you're going to leave them behind. And one of the conversations I think we've had a numerous conversations about this is as you're leveling up financially, you're going to have to leave people behind. You're going to have to change out people. I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation before. The people that you came up with, this is part of the reason why a lot of the celebrities in Black America end up with in a lot of trouble, because they try to keep it real with the people that they came up with instead of they're leveling up and letting go of those people who are no longer on the level so that they can replace them with people who are at that level. And you can't do that with people who are hanging on. So even you, and I'm going to have another conversation, it may be even later tonight, because I really want to have this conversation about the $40,000 man. I'm going to actually do it as a live. And one of the issues that we have is socioeconomically, we need to be integrating with people who are at the level that we want to be. So right now, if you're, I'm middle class, right? If I want to be upper middle class, I got to hang out with people who are upper middle class. So that's part of the reason why I'm taking this job, because my boss and all of his, people who are around him raising millions of dollars a year, right? All of them could put $1 million into a business and say, this is an investment for XYZ. We have to be around those people. They are not going to sabotage me as I'm saying, I want to go from $100,000 a year to $300,000 a year. People who can put $1 million down and say, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this, and Cherie, we need you to do this piece of it. They're not going to sabotage me, right? So you want to think about that as well. So I want to play something for you here. I came across an old Tony Robbins. Okay. This is some old Tony Robbins that I came across here. Again, current day Tony Robbins, I'm not exactly a fan of, but I do like old school Tony Robbins. And we're going to listen to parts of this. And again, it is all about ending financial self-sabotage. So let me bring it all the way back here.
But I have to tell you, the number one thing that keeps people from really having what they want financially is not the lack of a plan. It is not the lack of good advice. It is not the lack of possibility. It's not the lack of intelligence. It's not even the lack of capital. It is this unending process that most Americans go through of sabotaging their own financial success. So why do we do this to ourselves? Why is it that right when we start to really make financial progress, we do something stupid, or we stop following through, or we stop practicing the fundamentals we know will lead us to financial abundance? I believe the answer is what we talked about yesterday, and let's review it. Everything we do in our lives, we do for one of two reasons: to either avoid pain or to gain pleasure. If you are sabotaging yourself in any area, and we're going to talk about this again and again, it is simply because you believe at some level of your thinking, subconscious thinking, if not conscious thinking, that this situation that you're getting involved in, the accumulation of additional capital, is going to lead to more pain than pleasure. And again, I know that sounds insane and crazy, but I have to tell you, it's absolutely accurate in any person that I've studied who's been living in financial lack. In addition, many people associate pleasure to having a lack of financial abundance. Because, see, think about it. When people really do well financially and they're around their friends, what happens? Well, I can tell you from experience. When I was really young, I really went for it. 19 years old, had my own company, written up in newspapers and magazines. Wonder Boy, you remember me, right? Ego exploding. Well, sure enough, I was making all this money, about $10,000 a month. I was jazzed, except I thought money was going to lead to pleasure. I looked around and saw all the problems in my family, said, hey, if I got money, I can eliminate those and I can have a lot more fun. I can give to my friends, and I'd go back to my friends and want to take them with me on a trip or want to go someplace. And they were uncomfortable. In fact, a lot of them started to judge me. And all of a sudden, some of them treated me harshly and some of them made excuses. Some of them stopped going out to dinner with me. Some would say, well, I don't have a home like yours. And I said, I don't care. But what began to happen is I began to link that having money didn't mean the pleasure I thought it was going to mean. My brain started linking up having a lot of money means that people reject you. People you care about aren't comfortable with you. All of a sudden, I started feeling like an outcast. All of a sudden, I started feeling all this pain. And sure enough, within a short period of time, my brain on some level, not consciously, but subconsciously, began to just destroy everything economically. And I already told you how I did it. Not showing up for key meetings, right? Treating people harshly, distracting myself through eating food continuously, watching television. All those elements came up to destroy my finances. And so we must remember how our brains work. They don't work logically. They work on what we associate to things.
Okay, ladies. So as y'all are coming in again, don't forget to hit the like button for me, share the stream. He talked about the fact that, he thought that money was going to solve his issues, right? And words of Biggie, more money, more problems. I don't think it's more money, more problems. I think it's more money, different problems that you have. But one of the things that Tony said, and this is true depending on the types of friends that you have. One of the things that Tony said was he started leveling up his income. He was doing well. He didn't care that his friends didn't have money, but they cared. So they started making comments to him. They didn't want to hang out with him as much. And because of that, he began to associate his financial success to pain. And he's been saying this for 30, 40 years now that, look, as people, we want to avoid pain and gain pleasure. And it will be possible that as you are leveling up your income, you're going to have friends turn their back on you. They'll be great friends of yours. They'll turn their back on you. Or you may have the pastor call you and say, well, now that you're making more money, you need to tithe more. When you're trying to do this thing over here, you're trying to get this house, you're trying to do this investment, things like that. I know somebody who ended up paying off a great amount of debt, but one of the things she had to do, she and her partner would always go out with friends, and they'd go traveling and things like that. And she had to stop doing that for a while. And her friends finally reached out to her and said, well, why are you doing this? Why haven't you come out with us and all of this? And she said, well, it's because I'm trying to save money. Imagine if those friends had, or she said, we're trying to pay off debt, is what she said. And imagine if those friends had turned their backs on her and her partner, who is trying to pay off this immense amount of debt. You may have friends who do that. So we have to be prepared for all of these things, because financial self-sabotage, as we are leveling up, there are going to be people, and there are people that we won't associate with anymore. And sometimes it's not because of us. And then there are also going to be things that we won't be able to do anymore. You may not be able to go into the hood and kick it, right? You may not be able to go to that favorite cousin's house. Hey, God bless. Good to see you. Everybody, again, like the video. So we're going to continue on with what Tony is saying. So let's see here. I want to go to 739. Okay, ladies, let's hear a little bit more of this.
Every single one of us was born with opportunities. We're equal in our opportunities. We're not equal in our decisions. We're not equal in our education. We're not equal in how much we demand from each other or from ourselves. We're not equal in our motivation. We could choose to be, but most of us are not. Now, I know there's the argument that, hey, I grew up in the South Bronx, or I grew up in a difficult part of town, or I didn't have the role models. I can certainly appreciate that 100%. I really do believe that there are many people in our society that don't seem to start out with the same level of resources, no doubt about it. So my approach to that used to be, well, I really care about people that have less than I do. I care about people that are poor financially. In fact, my strategy was the best way to help poor people is I'll be one of them. Well, that's not exactly the most intelligent approach. Instead, what I decided to do was realize that no matter what someone's resources were, I didn't have any either. I didn't have any great role models. I didn't grow up wealthy, not even middle class. And yet I was able to make the things work because I pursued them. And no matter where I've looked in the country, no matter how horrible the environment, there are a few people from that environment that somehow have made it work for themselves, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, physically, and financially. So why did these people make it in spite of all the odds? The answer was not necessarily more talent or more ability, but that they were able to get access to their talent and ability because they had beliefs that empowered them in each of these areas, including financial. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Your finances will not change until your core beliefs change. Trying to turn around financial sabotage simply by working harder, by the way, will not work. The reason is you'll work harder and your beliefs like this rubber band. You'll push, stretch yourself out there. It'll start to make some progress. And right when you get to a certain point of threshold, whammo, the rubber band snaps you right back to where you were. I mean, haven't you experienced this sometimes? The only way to break through is get rid of the rubber bands. Expand your picture of your life financially so that what's happening is you're on a road you're always building and one that's always expanding. In addition, you must believe that by building your road, what you're also doing is creating a way for others to travel to their dreams as well simultaneously. So since it starts with our own beliefs, we got to remind ourselves what beliefs are. Beliefs are nothing but a feeling of certainty about what something means. So again, if you've got limiting beliefs, it just means you've got beliefs. You have a feeling of certainty that having money is going to be more painful than not having it. That having an abundance of money is going to be more painful than not having an abundance. Yeah, you can get by and it'll be okay. You've got to change that.
All right, ladies. So that was part 2. Everybody, yes, please like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the stream. Thank you so much. All right. So first of all, he said that all of us have equal opportunities, especially in the United States of America. I put in a community tab about the Afghan women who can no longer go to college. I just saw a horrible article today about what's happening in the Congo with the women and girls that are there. We in the United States are extremely blessed. Yes, there's white supremacy. Yes, there's all sorts of stuff happening within the United States. Let me tell you, I'd rather be here with my blue passport than anywhere else in the world. We do, even though we are Black, even though we are women, and yes, some people say that we have double, issues because of that, the gender and the race. Which I found being a Black woman is a blessing, but I know that some people do believe that, and I would not talk against that belief because I understand that as well. But we within the United States, we do have equal opportunities. The problem is that we don't have equal motivation. He didn't say this, but some of us don't have the equal beliefs. Some of us don't have the equal systems that we're working with in order to get us to where we want to be. But on this channel, I'm constantly bringing you the programs that can help you buy a house. I'm always talking about NACA. I'm always talking about the USDA loans, right? Mocha Mommy talks about the fact that their USDA loans, you can get them sometimes in the suburbs as well. We're always talking about the different stocks and the dividend income that you can get into and real estate and things like that, even if you have no money, right? But you have to have enough, you have to have You have to have a certain amount of motivation. And the motivation that you have to have is that the pain of breaking through is going to be worth it. It is going to be worth it in the long run. So right now I'm in my mid 40s. By the time I'm 65, my whole goal is to pay off all of my debt, including my home, have about, I was saying $10,000 of passive income coming in a month, and they need to be 15 now because of the inflation that's happening, right? And remain as healthy as possible, physically healthy as possible. And if I can do those three things, there's going to be pain with it. The pain of me getting up at 5:30 in the morning to go to the gym. The pain of me, saying, okay, Cherie, you're not going to have that donut. You're going to have the apple instead. The pain of me being okay letting go of some of the things that I have been doing over the past few years so that I can focus on one thing and one thing only, which is a new job that I'm going to have. Right? But with that, we get to expand the picture of our life. We get to actually set up the systems and set up the beliefs that we have that let us know that we are able to do anything that we want to do. And we do know, again, what he was saying, that having money not having money is more painful at the end of the day than having what we need. So God bless is saying, equal with opportunities. I think we are, God bless. I really do think we are. If we play our game, if we play our cards right. Now, we need to monkey branch, and we had that conversation, last week, a couple of weeks ago, about the monkey branching. We need to be in the right rooms with the right people. But yeah, this is a great resource and sorely needed. Thank you so much. From lack to legacy. Thank you so much. Yes, please remember to subscribe and hit the like button. All right. So let's continue listening to Tony here.
How do we do it? Well, one, the easiest way to change anything is to link pain to the thing we want to change. In other words, link in our own minds that if I don't change this belief system, it's going to cost me so much. It's going to hurt so bad that your brain says, I'll do anything to get rid of that belief. And then show your brain an alternative, one that by applying it, you'll have pleasure. Now, what most people do in life is sit around and hope that someday something magical will turn it around. Or again, they go out and just work harder and harder and harder, and they wonder why they still can't make it financially. No matter how much money they make, they always end up with more month at the end of the money. Maybe I was one of the lucky ones. Maybe I just have a low threshold for pain because I just couldn't take it. I found so much frustration in not being able to go certain places, not being able to be with certain people who are traveling, not being able to give some of the things I really wanted to give most to the people I cared about, not being able to have the lifestyle and the freedom of choice in terms of my time and my energy and the things that I was going to have in my life as well. It was so painful, so embarrassing, so frustrating that finally one day I said, I have had it. And that is a great place to get. Get to the place where you've had it, where you've gone through threshold, where you're not willing to do that anymore. But here's the key. When you realize you've got it, know what the reason is. It's because of your beliefs, and you need to go inside and shift them now.
All right, ladies. So what he said there was so important, because I'll tell you a personal story, is that for the past probably 5 years now, I've been getting tired of my business. I've done well, with it, but I've been really tired with doing business plan writing. And I'll never forget the year that I made the most money. I'll never, ever forget this. I had a deadline, and I ended up being the only person at the office till just after midnight on New Year's Eve, when everybody was enjoying their cocktails at New Year's Eve parties, things like that. I was stuck at the office finishing up a deadline for a client. And I began to say, there's got to be a better way. I feel awful for people who have to work 2 and 3 jobs and still don't have enough money at the end of the month. There's this whole thing that we say in the United States where if you just work harder, you'll make more money. If you just work harder, if you're just more motivated, you'll make it. It's not enough for us to just work harder. We need to work hard at what my boss calls level 10 opportunities. So a level 1 opportunity in this country, for example, is like working at McDonald's or some fast food place, right? Then you move your way up. Within your industries, you probably know what the level 1 opportunities are, the level 5 opportunities, the level 10 opportunities. But one of the goals that we should have in our lives when it comes to finances is to find that level 10 opportunity. That level 10 opportunity could come from a job. There's nothing wrong with having a job that pays really great money. I just have run out of time now, but I used to do, these conversations with you all with regards to the videos, with regards to different career opportunities that you can consider. You want to find a career opportunity that is going to bring you really good money. And I'm always encouraging you ladies to, if you want to get married and have children, because I want to do my part to have as many of us have children within matrimony, right? But think about if you have a job right now that you are able to also do from home so that you could take care of your children and still work, still make a living, etc. Thinking chess, not checkers, thinking 10 steps down the road, right? Financial health and not, I'm kind of talking all over the place here. Let me take a step back here. One of the things that we need to think about as we are going through this journey is that, how do I say this? That it's not just about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about being able to live the lives that we want to live and maximize our income. Sometimes that income will come from a full-time job. Sometimes that income will come from a side hustle. Sometimes that income will come from an asset that you purchase. You may purchase a triplex, for example, and you can live in one unit and the other 2 units are rented out and you're living mortgage-free, things like that. But you want to be able to figure out how you can break free from this idea that it's just about working harder. Because we know a lot of people who work 2 fast food jobs, for example, and they can't make ends meet. So let's continue on with regards to what Tony is saying. I'm going to fast forward this here a little bit. And we're going to go 38:14.
2, my belief is in order to become wealthy, I need only 2 things. 1, every single day, live in an attitude of gratitude. That is, feel incredibly grateful for the wealth that I already have in my life, and my friends and my family and the environment and where I live and my work and everything around me. See a sense of possibility and feel the abundance that is my life. That will create more wealth without me doing anything else. Like attracts like, water seeks its own level. You've heard these phrases, burnt out as they may be over and over again, but they are true. In addition, if you truly want to be wealthy, learn to consistently focus on how to give much more to others than you expect back. And by the way, it's impossible. The more you give, the more you're going to receive. Now you might say, well, Tony, this doesn't work for me. I tried it with John Smith. You know what I did? I gave. He gave me nothing. Well, guess what? See, it doesn't always come back from the person you gave it to.
Listen to that closely, ladies. It does not always come from the person you gave it to. I can personally attest to this. I belong to a group called BNI, which was a referral group. People would give referrals to like a specific individual all the time, and they would get from other people in the group. So you want to be strategic in who you're giving to and how you're giving. However, understand that if you are giving, other people will see you. If you're in the right situations, they will see you and they will give to you, the things that you're looking for in order to grow and succeed. Let's keep listening.
Sometimes they just take. You're right. I have no argument with that. But I'll tell you something. You got to open your eyes. You got to start paying attention because it's coming back to you from somebody else somewhere. And if it hasn't already, it's on its way. You got to trust and you got to know that that's true. By living with those kinds of beliefs, you will attract the kind of wealth that you deserve. How do you make certain that you develop it in your life? Besides eliminating the sabotage, you do what we talked about in the 7 wealth wounds. An abbreviated look at that might look something like this. 1, decide exactly what you want financially in terms of abundance. Remember, we talked about developing a number that was going to be a must for you. Not financial sufficiency, but true financial abundance. More than enough. Avalanches of abundance. That's what we're talking about. Make a decision. Because you got to remember, whatever you focus on consistently, you will get. So if you're always focusing on getting by or how to pay your bills, that's what you get. If you focus on massive abundance, that's what you'll have too. And as long as, in your mind now, having massive abundance is something good. Having massive abundance is not negative. It's not guilt. It's not problems. It's not pain. It is pleasure to be and do and create at the level that you are as a spiritual and successful human being.
So, ladies, tell me what your idea of massive abundance is. Focus on massive abundance. I hadn't heard this before. Tony had mentioned this when I was listening to this a couple of weeks ago. I told you before that massive abundance for me is, no debt, some cash in the bank, and $15,000 a month in passive income, right? For me, that's what I'm thinking massive abundance is right now. But for a lot of other people, massive abundance is, being a billionaire, being like a Warren Buffett who is able to give away a lot of his wealth after he dies, or Steve Jobs, or what do you call it? The guy from Microsoft, Bill Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates, and these other people, but really thinking about massive abundance and what that is for you. And it may not just be a number, like a net worth number. It may be how much you're able to give, to your favorite charity, how much you're able to give to, be like Oprah and open up a school for Black girls, right? I'd love to know what some of your ideas are with regards to, massive abundance and being able to focus on that and understanding that whatever you focus on, you get. God bless is saying massive abundance is ensuring financial security from our autistic son. Phenomenal. I love that. Let's continue on here.
2, daily condition your mind for wealth so that your brain is looking for opportunities to succeed financially. Remember the metaphor we talked about when we talked about setting goals, where you buy a car, you buy a particular outfit, and once you have it, all of a sudden, everywhere, you start noticing everybody who has that car, noticing that outfit. Well, there's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. It's the part of your brain that determines what you pay attention to. You recall earlier, we said that human beings are deletion creatures, that we don't pay attention to most of what's going on around us. We only pay attention to a small band of our experience. Our goals, our mental conditioning tells the RAS, the reticular activating system, what to pay attention to. The RAS is like a policeman. It determines what's going to get through to your conscious awareness and what's going to be screened out.
So this is a strong part. So again, going to the wealth that we're building, going to the jobs that we want to have, the assets that we want to buy, etc. If we are a heat-seeking missile for, a new job that is going to bring in $100,000 a year, and what credentials do we need to have, and who do we need to hang out with in order to get that position, your reticular activation system is going to be like a heat-seeking missile on that, right? If you think, oh, there are no jobs in tech, for example, if you think that, then what are you going to see? All the layoffs. However, if you're like, look, I can break into tech, I know it's going to be tough, but I can do it, then what's going to happen? All of a sudden, you're going to see more opportunities in tech than you know what to do with. If you think, oh, I'll never be able to buy a house, then what are you going to have? Like, no opportunities. But if you're like, look, I'm a heat-seeking missile for buying a house. I know I can do it. I know I'm going to have enough money to do it. I know I'm going to get the right loan, things like that. Then what's going to happen? All of a sudden, you're going to start seeing opportunity everywhere, to the point where you're going to be able to potentially wholesale some deals in real estate and find something that you're able to fix up the way that you like it, and have the money to pay for it with cash. Computer and Coin is saying positive overflow in all areas of my life, family, wealth, health, and career. I love it. Yes, everybody, please like the video and please share the live. So this thing about, conditioning your mind for wealth every single day is so important. It's so important. This is part of the reason why, I try to, as much as I can, be in the business sector of YouTube. And yeah, I get involved in some of the black gossip every once in a while, but I really, really do try to follow the 80-20 rule with that. And in 2023, I'm gonna be dialing it back even more, as much as possible, right? So you want to consider being that as well. I'm not saying follow my 80-20 rule with regards to like the kind of content that I get, but being again that person who has that condition for wealth every single day. You go out, whether you're logging in to your computer, you're looking on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, or you walk out of the house and you're at the grocery store or you're at work, you are a magnet and you are constantly looking for opportunity. You're looking for that project that you can do at work that's going to get you in front of your boss's boss, that's going to make you look like the phenomenal employee that you are. Because let's be real, the white men that are out there, they're not working harder like we as Black women are. They're not working harder. They're being selective in the projects that they're working on so that they can get in front of their boss's boss and their boss's boss's boss, do presentations in front of them, being at the table with them so they can say, oh, that's Cherie, she's got it going on. Let's move her over here. Let's give her more opportunity. And when they come to you with more opportunity, you flip that into more money that you can then flip into more assets that you're able to buy. You become a heat-seeking missile for these things. Okay, let's continue.
So when you daily decide what you want and condition yourself to look for opportunity, it's like all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. All of a sudden you see those clothes everywhere. All of a sudden you will see places that cash in financially when you've now made the decision to condition your mind to attract wealth. How can you do it? Well, for years, I started using affirmation for myself. Now you might say, well, didn't you say affirmations aren't that great? No. I said that you got to make sure that if you're going to use an affirmation, you do it with some real physiology, that you really change your state. And I read all kinds of books on attracting wealth. And I found this in one of those books and I really liked it. And so I said it over and over again. But again, saying an affirmation means nothing unless you generate feeling. And before I give you this affirmation, I want you to know that it's not meant to be religious in any way. I do want you to know that I do believe in a creator. I call it God. You may call that something else, and that's fine. But I believe that you and I have this privilege called life because something or someone has given it to us, something greater than our conscious awareness. And when people tell me, well, I don't believe in a God, I'm an atheist, My view to them is I like to ask them a question. I said, so you're trying to say to me that everything we see, the earth, the plants, our environment, this solar system, this universe that all works with absolute precision is all the result of things just falling together? That's like saying Webster's dictionary is the result of an explosion in a print factory. Come on, there's got to be something more. But let me just tell you how I condition my mind for wealth. I believe that we can tap in. We can attract more in our lives when we connect ourselves mentally and condition ourselves for that abundance. So what I say to myself is this: God's wealth is circulating in my life. His wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. All my needs, desires, and goals are met instantaneously, for I am one with God, and God is everything. And I would say this to myself over and over and over and over again. I would go run down the beach for a couple of miles, saying this to myself with all the intensity of feeling I could generate.
So, ladies, yeah, God's wealth is all around us. God does not forsake us. He does not betray us. He loves us. He wants us to have abundance. And I'm not talking some prosperity preacher stuff here, right? But God loves us. God wants us to have abundance. God does not want us nickel and diming so that we can have more month at the end of the money. That's not God's plan for us. God brings us opportunities all the time if we would just recognize them. So maybe our prayer is, God, let me recognize the opportunities that you bring to me so that I know which ones I really need to pursue in order to have a better career, in order to be able to provide my kids with the resources that they need so they can compete in the 21st century, so that I can find the right spouse that's going to bring wealth and abundance. And wealth is not just money in this situation. It really is a very fruitful life that I can actually see that person and recognize them when they come, so that I can get access to the rooms that I need to be in, so that I'm able to get access to the deals and the assets and the opportunities that are there, and that the money is in my bank so that when these opportunities come, I'm ready to go. So that when somebody leaves me an inheritance of a house, I know how to turn that house into a rental property and find a great tenant who's not going to damage it and tear it up, so that that property can remain in Black-owned hands. Jesus be that wealth fence all around me, right? These are the things that we actually need to trust our God and reframe how we are praying to God. And again, when we're saying wealth, it is more than just money with regards to this. But I'll tell you this, as somebody who has had money, who has lost money, who has had money, who has lost money, there's nothing better than having money and having a cushion and being able to say, and exhale, and be able to go to the car repair. And, they say it's $400 for some new tires, and you whip out not a credit card, but your debit card because you have the money in there. And you're not taking it from someplace else. That's your emergency money. Boom, you've got it. You're able to actually exhale and breathe and have some breathing room. And then you're able to buy assets and see your retirement growing and things like that. There's nothing better. So God bless is saying, so true. Computer and Coin is saying, this is very real talk. Yeah. Money is spiritual and an energy exchange. Yep. I'm trying to preach. I'm trying to get better at it. Definitely trying to get better at it, my girl. All right. So here's an interesting, I think, story that he tells here. So let's listen to this.
That's one of the major reasons I believe that in 12 months, I went from totally broke to $1 million net worth, because I didn't just hope. I created a level of certainty in my body that total financial abundance was a part of every cell, every thought, every feeling, and things began to jump out at me, and I began to attract them. Now, that may sound real metaphysical. It may sound weird to you, but anyone that I've met who has created great financial abundance has not only decided what they want, but they've begun to condition themselves daily to have that level of abundance where it felt.
You decide what you want, you condition yourself daily, you do the activities necessary to get there. Because this is not some woo woo, wah wah, the secret stuff, right? Where you just dream it and it magically appears. No, you have it in your head. You you condition yourself. You believe with every fiber of your being, and you do the things that are necessary in order to get the results that you are looking for. In my new company that I'm joining, I'm an area director. I'm basically in charge of a division, but they have other divisions. And I was meeting with some of the division leaders, and they're basically like, look, all we focus on are inputs. All we focus on are the things that we need to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, managing the teams that we have to do things on a daily basis and a weekly basis. And if we do those things, the results come, the numbers come, and then we just, tweak things as we go. You got to have the same thing. You have a certain amount of time at work. If there are a certain number of projects that need to be done within the company. However, there's probably only about 10% of those projects that are going to give you what you want, which is the wealth and the abundance and the accolades and the attention of the people you need in order to level up, right? There's certain broadcasts that you're going to do on YouTube that's going to really go viral and really kind of get people to focus on you and what you're doing. But what you have to do is you have to come and you have to continuously be on YouTube, for example, spreading whatever information you want to spread from a place of love. And then some of those will go viral. That's how it works, right? But with that, his belief in himself, as well as he was doing the things that he needed to do. I don't know if he says this in here. He went he grew his net worth to $1 million in 12 months. Again, it may not be $1 million in 12 months for you, but whatever it is, working smarter, being smart about the way that we're doing things, and having a belief in our bones that, like, I am going to achieve it. I am going to do it. It's going to get hard. It's going to get tough. People are going to turn their backs on me. They're going to say that I'm crazy for doing this business. I don't care. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to go forward anyway, no matter what. And you're focused on the right things. You're doing things right and you're doing the right things. There's nothing that can stop you. Even in a recession. I didn't even bring that up before. We're in a recession. We're going into a recession, might be a recession. Who knows? The economists are all over the place with it. Most of them think that we're going into a recession in 2023. And yet there are people who are going to make a ton of money in this recession. Why not you? Who says you have to participate in the recession? I'm not. Let's keep listening.
Felt right for them. And that's what I did with myself. I offer you the opportunity if it's worthwhile for you, or you can correct it, change the language so it works for you, but please condition yourself for the abundance you deserve. Step 3, get some role models. Find out what to do and get yourself a great vehicle. One way to get a vehicle is sit down and write down, what is it you love to do most in the world? Because, see, I think financial abundance comes from doing what you love most, doing it massively, and making sure that in your doing it, it creates tremendous value for other people. If you do those things effectively, you're going to have financial abundance.
I'm going to add something here to what he's saying. Do what you love, but do something that you are good at. Do something that you are skilled at. As much as I like to cook, I won't say I love to cook, but I do like to cook. I'm not a great cook for anybody else. Like, I love my own cooking, right? But nobody's really going to pay for Cherie's food. Let's just be honest, right? Do what you love, but do what you're good at. Do what you are skilled at. And then also do something that people actually want to buy. Do people want to buy the thing that you are selling? You might be a great typist. However, in the 21st century, there aren't a lot of people who need great typists, right? I'm talking about like, the 1950s typists that were actually able to transcribe. There are these days, you may be a great transcriptionist, but there's a lot of AI now that transcribes. So I want to add this to this because this is an old thing that Tony has here. Like, we want to do things that we are passionate about, but we also want to do things that we're good at and that actually pays us. Because when we do all of that, when we find something where it's like we're good at it, we love it, and it is profitable, it is something that the market wants. Yeah, he's absolutely right. That brings in your income. That brings in your income. You want to increase your income, and then you want to increase the cash that you have. Take some of that income, put it into cash. That way you can have emergency savings, you can have a little bit of money for, for your investment account, things like that. Ultimately, you want to take that money and put it into investments, and you want to also make sure that you have, whatever documentation you need in order to secure your assets and make sure you've got generational wealth. But a lot of people talk about do what you love and the money will come. I think that there's some caveats to that. And that's what I want you to be careful about.
So if you're looking for a vehicle, what do you love to do most? Number one. Number two, how could you do it in a way where other people would benefit and be willing to make an investment to take part in something that you love? I mean, that's what I've had the good fortune of doing by asking that question. Question three is, how could you do it massively so you could reach tons of people and make a major difference and hopefully get paid well in the process? And then fourthly, how could you do it intelligently so that once you've done all this stuff and you've worked so hard and you've helped those people, there's something called profit when you're done? There are lots of possibilities for vehicles, and there are lots of models if you already want to stay right where you are and do very well financially. Again, call or write us. We'll teach you some models, come to our seminars, or find somebody who you respect locally and model them, or go to somebody else's program. Whatever it takes, please get yourself a model. That's how you'll know.
Yeah, so what he's talking here about success, there are people who have done what you have done before. When I first became a business plan writer, I actually found a gentleman who had 30 years of experience raising money and things like that. And I worked under him as his assistant slash intern for a year, believe it or not. And I modeled the things from his business. I modeled how he found clients, how he engaged with them, how he signed the contracts with them, how he did the work, things like that. Most of us, 95% of us, already have models that we can follow in order to be successful. Stop reinventing the wheel, stop trying to do things, um, like trying to figure stuff out from scratch. It's not worth it. Find the model of somebody who is successful already, really see what they're doing. If you have to pay them in order to see what their success is, definitely do that. If you have to be one of their clients in order to see the inner workings of how they do things, definitely do that. That's the time where I say, you don't necessarily have to be cheap with regards to that. But most people can find others that they can model for success. If you want to get into real estate, find somebody. Let's say you want to get into buy and hold, landlording. Please find somebody who has 20, 30 rentals currently to walk you through the process. All the mistakes that they made, you can avoid. Because let me tell you, I'm listening to a whole lot of people now who, they found some YouTuber who said, oh, you should invest in this city. Oh, you should invest in that city. Oh, you should invest in this type of property, that type of property. Those same YouTubers now are selling those properties that they told people to buy 3, 4, 5 years ago. I'm seeing it. I don't want to talk to somebody on YouTube who is buying a whole bunch of property, with all due respect. I want somebody that I can see, touch, go to their units, see what they're doing, see their rental agreements, see their whole process for how they selected their tenants. Why did they choose the city? How long have they been, had this property? Oh, you've had the property for 3 months? Not interested. Oh, you've had this property for 10 years and it's still working and you still have the same tenant and you haven't had to evict them. That's the person I want to talk to with regards to modeling. I only have a little bit more for you ladies and then we shall go.
Know what to do. 4, make sure that on an ongoing basis, you experience yourself as a giver. And I save this for last because I want you to remember this. I believe that the bottom line of financial success comes from your believing in your gut that you deserve everything that you've got in your life. Now, that may sound egotistical, but the reality is you got to feel like you deserve it or it won't stay. You won't attract it. My way of generating that I deserve it came in many ways. Number one, I deserve it because I'm alive, just as much as I deserve to grow mentally, emotionally, in my relationships, in my intellect. All those things I think I deserve to grow. So why would finances be any different? In addition, I deserve it because I'm a giver, because I always strive to give much more than I would expect back. These tapes are an example. I hope you can feel I'm trying to give you 10,000% of myself at each and every time here. I'm committed to having you get much, much more, 100 times.
So he's definitely talking about giving back. Some of you may choose to mentor young people. Some of you may choose a YouTube channel where you give back with regards to like Computer and Coin. She has a great channel. She is in healthcare IT, healthcare technology, and she talks about her path, her career. If you wanted to learn that, that is her way of giving back. Some of you, again, are mentoring young people. Some of you are going to give back by participating in certain nonprofits and things like that. Some of you may start business organizations for other Black women, things like that. It is important for us to give back. And one of the things that he says, and everybody, again, like the video as you're coming in and share the live stream. One of the things that he says later on is that giving away is your subconsciousness teaching you that there is abundance. Like being a giver is your subconscious teaching you that there is abundance. So let's say that I make really good money and I'm going to give away $5,000 to Black Girls Code. By doing that, by that act of abundance, of giving that money to Black Girls Code, for example, that's showing me that I subconsciously know that there's more coming to me. By me giving my time right now, which is very limited these days, by me giving my time to all of you to think about financial self-sabotage and the things you can do to kind of self-correct with regards to this, I know that somebody's going to invest time in me for me to be more successful. So you want to think about the investing that you want to do. You want to think about the donating of time and money and resources and things like that you want to do, understanding that the person you're giving to is probably not going to be the person who gives back to you. You're probably going to receive from somebody else. And that somebody else could be 2, 3, 4 levels higher than you are. Nicole is saying my favorite organization. Yeah, I am so proud of Black Girls Code and the enormous amount of work that they're doing, The final thing that he said, and I'm not going to play it for you because we're running late on time here, but he said, create experiences with money that are fun, have pleasure. Don't just put money in CDs, have some mad money. It's important for us as we are building abundance for ourselves. And he talked about having massive abundance. The massive abundance is not just money so that we can hoard it. Massive abundance, I believe, is massive joy, is massive peace. It's being able to enjoy Disneyland and Disney World with our children, or, whatever theme park you want to go to. It's about creating memories. We only have one life to live. I'm in my mid 40s, you may be in your younger 30s, right? You may say, you know what? I'm only going to be this age, and I'm only going to have my kids, and my husband and I are only going to be at our 5th wedding anniversary, but so long. And we want to enjoy memories. We don't have to have a lot. It's not quantity, it's quality. It's quality time with family and friends. It's quality time with the organizations that we care about. It's that quality time with clients even. It's being able to say, you know what? I did that. I made a difference in the world. And we do that by having a massive abundance mindset. But we absolutely cannot do that if we are self-sabotaging ourselves financially, which is the reason why I wanted to have this conversation today. And if you are just getting into the broadcast, definitely roll it back. Listen to the first article that I read of the young lady who talked about the fact that her religion, when she started making money, her religion was working against her because of all the lessons she had learned when she was younger in her religion. And then how we tend to sabotage ourselves financially and the things that we're able to do to get out of that sabotage. Because as Tony Robbins said, and this is going to be my final statement, at the end of the day, you're going to see your financial journey as something that's either going to bring you pain or bring you pleasure. And a lot of you may say, well, of course I want money, of course that would bring me pleasure. Not if you have friends who are going to turn their backs on you because you're making more money, and you're going to all of a sudden feel a loss so much that you're going to say, you know what? Making this money, doing well in life, it's not worth it. And I know, again, it's not all of us, but there are some of us that are out there that need this message. We need to know that there are things that are going to sabotage our success. And we need to get ahead of any of the self-sabotage that we're doing in our financial journey. Because you will only level up to the level that's in your head and that's in your heart, and that you believe you are able to do, and that you believe you deserve. And I believe everybody here, everybody that's listening to me, deserves the greatest amount of success that you could possibly muster up. So that is it. I'll be back in a couple of days. Actually, tomorrow I really have to get some work done. So be focused tomorrow. But I'll be back in a couple of days with another broadcast. All right, ladies. Thank you so much. And I will see you all again. Don't forget to like on your way out and share the stream. Take care, ladies. Bye.